First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Welcome to WUFT's First at 5. I'm Allison Williams.
And I'm Camila Pereira. Thank you for joining us on the first show of the semester.
Gainesville is mourning the sudden death of former Mayor Clerveaux. He died at his home over the weekend. The cause is not yet known.
After time as a commissioner, Lowe served from 2010 to 2013 as the city's first openly gay mayor. Before then, he served as the first District 4 commissioner from 2003 until 2010. During his time in office, he was the catalyst for the opening of Fire Station 8 and Innovation Square, among other accomplishments. Current Gainesville Mayor Harvey Ward expressed their condolences over social media. Lowe was 65 years old of age at the time of his passing.
The Dixie County Sheriff's Office makes a second arrest in the death of 14-year-old Daniellla Appling. Deputies arrested Keith Anderson on Thursday and Waymore Gerhart on Friday. Appling was reported missing on October 16th, and her body was discovered in Gilchrist County at the beginning of December. The medical examiner classified her death as a homicide. Both suspects are charged with kidnapping and murder.
2 former high school nurses face charges of failing to report child sex abuse. Gainesville police referred the charges this month in a sexual battery case that dates back to last April. Police believe the victim disclosed details to school nurses Rosalind Hamilton and Meredith Burns Brown and asked them not to report it for fear of her family finding out. If found guilty, the nurses could face up to 5 years in prison for a third-degree felony.
Gainesville police are investigating a drive-by shooting which injured a teenager. The shooting was at a southeast park near a Boys and Girls Club location, but a representative says the organization is unaware of any connection to the incident. In a tweet, GPD reported officers on the scene just after 4 p.m. Sunday. Someone in a car fired shots at several teenagers, hitting one of them in the leg.
President Biden is facing growing pressure following the weekend discovery of additional pages of classified documents in his Delaware home. NBC News' Alice Barr joins us from Washington with footage from this morning's meeting, where the president ignored questions for a 5th day straight.
The questions are growing louder. President Biden's silence more pronounced.
When it comes to legal issues, we have been very clear that we are not going to comment. We are not going to politically interfere.
As Republicans press for answers about classified documents from his time as vice president found at Mr. Biden's home and former private office.
Prior to an election, they kept it secret. At no time did he get raided by the FBI.
House Republicans opening investigations and demanding visitor logs from the president's Delaware home, citing national security concerns.
He's probably had a lot of people come over there, whether it's workers, whether it's staff, whether it's friends, like who knows?
The Secret Service says it performs background checks on visitors but does not maintain logs at a president's personal residence. Sources tell NBC News President Biden is frustrated with the administration's failure to draw a contrast between his team turning over uncovered classified documents and former President Trump's refusal to do the same, leading to the FBI search of Mar-a-Lago. Still, Republicans object to leaving the search of President Biden's home to his personal attorneys, who do not have security clearances. And many are questioning how the documents made it out of secure areas to begin with.
The reality is these documents are well marked, and that's why they're well marked.
The White House insisting that while it can't answer every question publicly, it is cooperating fully with a special counsel investigation.
Right now in California, tens of thousands of people are without power. NBC's Jay Gray brings us the latest from Santa Cruz.
Sunshine, blue skies. This is what California's supposed to look like. But for the better part of 3 weeks, it's looked like this. 9 storms known as atmospheric rivers, delivering blizzard conditions in the mountains, historic flooding along the coast. That water ripping apart roadways, tearing apart hillsides.
I mean, right now it's still triage. We're still in the active disaster phase.
But an end to the assault from Mother Nature now, allowing communities and crews to transition toward recovery.
This is the largest winter storm that PG&E has seen in its history. We restored over 2.8 million customers.
All those outages just along the Central Coast, one of the hardest hit regions. 7,000 men and women riding a roller coaster as each storm moved through.
We would get down to 3,000 customers and then wake up in the morning and it's up to 20 again. So it's been a long effort, but everybody's been focused.
The focus now across the state, getting California back to some kind of normal.
Here in Florida, the weather has been all over the place the last few days.
That's right, Camila. WUFT's Daniellla Rudolph now will tell us more on what we can expect over the next few days.
Thank you, ladies. So you are right. The weather has been up and down this past week, but thank goodness I have some good news for you that it is going to be clearing out and staying stationary. As you can see, our beautiful campus cam, look at that amazing sunset we have today. It's 70 degrees out right now, and it's feeling with 16 mile/hour winds, a little gusty, but nothing to worry about. Taking a look at our current temperatures, Gainesville right now sitting at 72. We're sitting in that mid to high 70s range for the rest of the day. Looking at our temperature change, it was really chilly yesterday, but if you are a fan of the warm weather, you're in for a treat because we are up 7 degrees all around. If you're heading out on the town tonight, let's take a look at what is happening. Temperatures around 50s and 60s, but it's going to be cool and calm and collective. Back to you, ladies.
And now we're going to take a short break.
Coming up on WUFT News First at 5, the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was honored Monday as 2 local community members were recognized for their hard work in the community that exemplifies King's vision. Coming up after the break, you'll hear more about what the MLK Day celebration looked like in Gainesville.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
Across the nation, America is celebrating the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. In Gainesville, the month-long 2023 King celebration organized by the Martin Luther King Commission of Florida continued with multiple community members being honored and a national holiday celebration. WUFT's Jennica Clerveaux brings us the details of yesterday's events.
1, 2, 3. All right. Point to you.
The Keepers of the Dream Wall preserves the legacy of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The crowd acknowledged Eastside High School senior Michaela Flanders for her MLK-like spirit.
Congratulations again, Michaela.
The Martin Luther King Jr. Commission of Florida also recognized community activist Shanae Jackson.
I share Dr. King's audacity to believe that people everywhere can have quality food, housing, education, dignity, and other basic freedoms.
Then, the crowd was reminded of how much they have overcome.
I do believe that we shall overcome someday.
It's a day of learning. It's a day of opportunity. It's also a great day to see a lot of people and to celebrate together.
Remembering is how Vice President of the MLK Commission of Florida believes people will grow from what many refer to as a battered path to civil rights.
If you don't continue to reflect, people will forget the history. And Dr. King made a sacrifice. And so we were really excited about, do you understand the assignment? Do you know the assignment? Because he did.
Here, reflection is the way to progress.
We won't change. We can't just keep checking the box.
For Gainesville Mayor Harvey Ward, the time to recall and recount is vital for the community.
It's a really great opportunity for people to come together and recognize how far we've come and how far we have to go as a community.
Knowing how far allows them to understand exactly where they need to go to continue to celebrate MLK and his fight for human rights.
That was Jennica Clerveaux reporting. Alachua County Public Schools reported an increase in on-time graduations for the year of 2022. Per information released by the Florida Department of Education, the county showed an on-time graduation rate of 91.4% for high school students. This is an increase of 0.5% from last year's rate. The FDOE listed the overall graduation rate for the district at 85.8. The rate for the state of Florida saw a decrease down to 87.3, a drop of 2.8%. The Alachua County Public School Board will meet today to propose a new policy to help students with school fees. The policy promises to set forth what kinds of school fees, fines, or charges are allowed to be assessed of students. The board aims to set forth prohibitions on certain fees for students experiencing homelessness. They also aim to enter an agreement with online payment vendors to make paying for fees as easy as possible. The policy also introduces eligibility standards for waivers regarding school fees and new procedures for requesting waivers.
Camila, the last couple of nights have been very cold.
I know, I'm really hoping it warms up soon. Daniellla, Rudolph will tell us more up next.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
The big story this week in weather is a stationary front bringing in some mild change. Again, let's look at what the temperatures have been doing over the last 24 hours across the nation. Here in the Sunshine State, as we're famous for having beautiful weather, we're up in those temperatures. Unfortunately, they're not as lucky as us, but at the same time, with the warm weather comes a slight price to pay, which I will be talking about a little later on in my forecast. Right now, let's take a look at our hour by hour for the rest of the day. Right now, we're sitting around 69, but we are going to be dipping into those low 50s this evening with a slight bit of wind and patchy fog going into the morning commute, so do keep that in mind if you are planning on heading out on the town this evening. Again, those beautiful temperatures this morning was feeling a little crisp, but it is going to be warming up throughout the day. This trend is going to be carrying on for the rest of the week. Taking a look at what is happening tomorrow on campus. 8 a.m. we are having a crisp weather again, around 52 with some calm winds. However, we are going to be warming up for the remainder of the day. So if you are planning on heading out tomorrow, heading to class, it is going to be cool in the morning, but it is going to be warming up substantially into those high 70s towards the afternoon hour. So this is the price to pay for the beautiful weather here in the Sunshine State. Taking a look at the pollen forecast. So if you do suffer from allergies, it is going to be peaking over the next few days this week. We see grass, tree, and ragweed peaking in the weekend. However, keep in mind that juniper, maple, and elm are going to be affecting you if you are allergic to anything in the air. So just do keep that in mind if you are traveling. Taking a look at our future radar into the weekend, you see we have this beautiful stationary front, which is going to be giving us that stable fair weather for the remainder of the week. However, we see these green areas of precipitation, but don't worry, the weather is going to be stationary and stable for the remainder of the week with some slight chances for it to be cooler, and there will be some showers through the weekend. So if you are heading out, take a look at that and just keep that in mind for the remainder of the week. Again, picking up tomorrow to peak for the week at 79, almost reaching into those 80s, but then again dropping down into 67 for the weekend. But you are lucky if you do like the warm weather, big jump up to 74. We are going to be having, again, as I said, a slight chance of precipitation and rain this weekend, so keep this in mind, especially if you are planning on heading out on Sunday. It looks like it's going to be beautiful weather, but there is that chance of rain. Back to you.
Thanks, Daniellla. In Washington, the debate is heating up over spending and raising the debt limit. In this CNN report, we learn why the debt limit can be high stakes.
The debt ceiling will be the talk of Washington until lawmakers on Capitol Hill can compromise and take action. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen starting a clock for Congress to either raise or suspend the country's borrowing cap beyond the current $31.4 trillion or risk an unprecedented U.S. default. Yellen wrote lawmakers on Friday to say the U.S. will hit its debt limit on Thursday, but the Treasury Department will take measures to allow breathing room until at least June. The last time a political debate pushed the U.S. to a brink of default was 2011, and the chaos resulted in the first long-term credit rating downgrade in the nation's history.
To threaten to not pay America's debts would put all of us at risk.
But new House Speaker Kevin McCarthy has indicated he may take a hard line on a debt increase, likely to satisfy some conservatives at the heart of his bruising battle for the gavel.
Let's start paying this debt off and make sure the future generation has as many opportunities as we do.
If Congress can agree on an increase, experts say interest rates on everything from your credit card debt to auto loans to mortgages could skyrocket as it becomes more expensive for the U.S. to borrow. The stock market could tank, hammering retirement accounts. And the Treasury Department might decide to delay or temporarily halt payments like Social Security checks, Medicare disbursements, and military pay to cover debts. And while Washington isn't panicking just yet, the White House has recommended that an agreement come sooner rather than later to avoid rattling an already uncertain U.S. economy. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
The Gators men's basketball team plays SEC rival Texas A&M tomorrow night.
Florida is currently on a 3-game winning streak, so hopefully we can make it 4. WUFT's Taylor Burr will talk more about the matchup after the break.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
Welcome to sports. I'm Taylor Burr. Let's start on the hardwood with the UF men's basketball team. The Gators will visit Texas A&M tomorrow night. Last month, the Aggies defeated the Gators 66-63 in Gainesville. Florida brings a 3-game winning streak to the Lone Star State, where A&M has a 6-game winning streak of its own. The Aggies are currently 12-5 and sit in second in the SEC, while the Gators have a 10-7 record, which puts them in 6th. UF is going to need a big night from reigning SEC Player of the Week, Colin Castleton, who just last week averaged 17 points and 10 rebounds, leading the Gators to wins over Missouri and LSU. Defensively, Florida will need to slow down the Aggies player Wade Taylor, who leads them in scoring with 15 points a game. As Florida continues to push towards the postseason, a win at A&M would be huge. Head coach Todd Golden says the Gators will need to take care of the ball if they want to win.
A way for us to find a way to win tomorrow night, we have to take better care of the ball. And, you know, it was an area where we've been great all year. We were not great the first time we played these guys in our place. You know, not great last Saturday. So, obviously, a focus of ours, and, you know, especially going on the road and as well as A&M is playing, to give yourself a great chance, you've got to take care of it.
Game time is set for 7 p.m. tomorrow. The UF women's basketball team plays Tennessee Thursday night. After a heartbreaking loss over the weekend to Kentucky, the Gators look to get back to their winning ways. Florida lost 81-75 after a second-game half surge from the Wildcats. UF will once again have to rely heavily on KK Deans, who averages 14.8 points a game and about 4 rebounds. In her previous matchup against Kentucky, she led the team with 21 points, which included 5 3-pointers. Game time is set for 6:30. Moving to high school basketball, Gainesville gets ready to take on PK Yonge. The Hurricanes are currently on a 6-game winning streak and hope to keep it alive with another victory. Meanwhile, Columbia plays Buchholz. Both teams are looking to break their losing streaks. All games tonight are at 7:30. Moving to tennis, the first major of the year, the Australian Open, continues its second round, and a familiar face will be on the hard court tonight. Ben Shelton, former NCAA champion from Florida, shocked the world when he defeated #1 Chinese tennis player yesterday. The young American star, just 20 years old, continues his national major debut in the second round of the tournament against veteran Jerry. The left-hander will once again rely on his big serve to advance down under.
Before we go, let's check on weather one last time.
Thank you, ladies. So as I said, it has been feeling really chilly this week, but if you take a look at the usual temperatures we experience around this time of year, we actually are above average if you do love that warm weather in for a treat. Again, peaking on Thursday, dropping off into the 67, but we have a beautiful week ahead.
Thanks, Daniella. BBC World News is next, and the PBS NewsHour is coming up at 7.
Well, your Florida news is always on at WFT.org. Thanks for joining us, and have a good night.